if the key to healing your body is learning to listen to its deepest messages? In today's episode, we explore how radical self responsibility and holistic modalities can help you reclaim your health, rewire your story, and inspire transformation for yourself and those you love. Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible leveraging podcasts and Substack. Today, we are chatting with Penny Croal. Penny is a passionate mind-body connection coach dedicated to walking alongside those ready for radical wellness. With a background in EFT, matrix reimprinting, NLP, and metaconsciousness, she empowers individuals and practitioners alike to take ownership of their healing journey. Through her community, she shares powerful tools, supportive guidance, and a vision of health as a conscious choice. Whether you're seeking radiant health for yourself or wisdom to help others, she's here to help you get present, get curious, and get well, one breath at a time. Welcome to the show, Penny. It's great to have you with us.
Yeah, I'm really excited, Jill. Thank you for having me. And let's go. Let's do this. Let's have a deep dive.
Okay, so let's ask you the big question. What's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
Well, I think the first thing is about building community, co-regulation. And in that community and co-regulation, we'll find safety. And I know a lot of people are not going to like what I'm going to say next because everybody's talking about love, but we cannot love without safety. We cannot feel that love without the safety. We cannot give the love without the safety. So, building these communities and understanding, perhaps we'll never understand each other, however, understanding our own bodies in that safe moment.
I love that. And it is so true. We spend so much time wrapped up in fear and trying to deny that we're experiencing fear, which causes all kinds of havoc in our bodies. And it to me, it's interesting to see communities evolving in different spaces. And in in some ways they're age-based. I'm finding for me at this stage of my life, I'm finding women who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s and beyond, really instead of just shutting up and sitting down like we've been told to for so many decades now, they're embracing the point that they are in their lives and recognizing they have so much wisdom to share, and they're refusing to just go quietly into the night, sit on that ice floe, and carried out to sea and die a miserable death and get eaten by the sharks or whatever. You can see where my fears come from.
Yeah. I think you've hit a great point there about the fear, the fear of aging. So I've noticed there's a lot of talk about longevity. But what's longevity if we don't feel safe? Are we just living for the sake of living, or do we want to actually embrace that life and embrace the person we were born to be? I think that's so beautiful that you you brought up the fact that we haven't been allowed. I don't know about, well, your schooling, but my schooling in Scotland was I'm 60 now, so children are seen, not heard. You sit down, shut up, write down what we've told you, and that's it. If you ask too many questions, you'll be sent out of the class because you're disruptive. Well, now I'm the disruptor and I want to bring together all the other disruptors and talk about whatever lights up your heart, your loins, wherever it lights up. Let's talk about that. Let's be the disruptors.
It's needed. The world is the old paradigm of sit down and shut up, don't daydream, only give us the answers we tell you to give us because everything else is wrong. Don't imagine anything beyond this black and white world I'm trying to deliver to you. It's interesting to me. It's just coming to me that, we had black and white television in the 50s and 60s, and that was really how the world was. It was black and white. You were told what to think and where to go and how to behave. And if you were outside the box in any way, especially as girls growing up, you just sort of like there was something fundamentally wrong with you. You were bossy, you were pushy, you were masculine. Like that was you're gonna ruin your femininity. Just
Yeah.
like who the heck cares?
I actually talk about this a lot about how a lot of my clients, and myself included, came into this holistic therapy world with a lot of anger. And I was never allowed to share that anger as a child because I was a little girl. So back to that old nursery rhyme, little girls are made from sugar and spice, and little boys are made from worms. I've forgotten now what the rhyme is. So
Slugs and snails and puppy
yeah,
dog
well,
tails.
thank you. You see, you know it already. But what's really interesting is by the time we're adults, we're in the boardroom or in a relationship and we get angry and we don't know how to express that anger. And so we internalize that anger or we burst into tears or then we're suppressing ourselves even more. And where's the safety in the internalization of anger? Because then it will evolve into self-hatred. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I can't, because we've never been taught to co-regulate
And
in
we've
that
been taught
moment.
that crying is somehow fundamentally wrong or weak. When really, there is nothing more powerful than a woman with tears running down her face, standing there, stating her truth with all of her being. That's not weakness. That's strength. We're not
And
men.
I
And I,
also grew up, you've just triggered a thought about my own uh, growing up, that my mother, it was a weakness in our house to be ill. So my mother would, when she was diagnosed with angina and she would faint, she'd rather think people thought she had a drink and she was teetotal. But that was more acceptable than having a heart condition. Isn't that interesting?
that is really interesting. It's just like the pressure from the outside that we we have to be this unrealistic version of a human being that nobody is all anything.
Yeah.
They're not all good, they're not all bad, they're not all beautiful, they're not all ugly, they're not all anything. We are just beings having an experience. And when we have to like conform to these expectations that are put on us by almost an invisible force, because it's
Yeah.
not really our parents or society. It's there's some outside force that push them to make us the way we are. 'Cause
Yeah.
nothing just has an original start in my worldview.
I
It's
know.
like,
But this is the epigenetics, isn't it? You get ill, you
yeah,
go to the doctor. And yet, in ancient times, going back to woman, the ancient woman would have the herbs and the knowledge and the ancient wisdom to sit and listen. And we have not been taught or allowed or given permission to listen to our own bodies.
yeah.
It's almost as if going back to that little child, little children don't come up and go, "Oh, I'm feeling angry." They'll say, "I've got an upset tummy," or "I've got painful tummy." And of course, that's shut down. And so we've stopped. It's like the mobile phones. They've almost stopped our intuition, our connectedness. I mean, technology is great because otherwise I wouldn't be speaking to you now tonight. But where does it hinder and where does it expand us? And when we shut down that inner wisdom, then we're denying our own self to be who we are. And the fear just builds because something goes wrong in our body. We go to the doctor, and then the doctor diagnoses us, and we make that a meaning of death, of imprisonment, of whatever that meaning is for each other. And the
We
fear
give it
grows.
meaning.
Yeah. And that meaning, what does it mean? What does cancer mean? What does lupus mean? What does COVID mean? What does all of these long chronic diseases mean to each and every one of us?
Mhm.
So a lot of my clients, I don't know about you, Jill, but I haven't met anybody yet that hasn't had somebody, a member of the family, a friend who's been diagnosed with cancer. And our wording even about the cancer is she has to fight it or he has to fight it. And of course, that's exhausting in itself.
Yeah. I have my thoughts about cancer. They're not really socially acceptable to.
Well, I'm laughing not because it's funny, because this is my speciality, working with cancer. And the
Mhm.
first thing is I explore with the client what their beliefs are about
Yeah.
that word and about the advertising and about um, medical views, because it's, and I'll say modern Western medical views,
Mhm.
because not all of the whole world has the same views, but we've tried to be funneled into
The
this is what you
money-making
I know.
machine.
Yeah,
And certain industries prey on people's fear of dying. And cancer is like the best way because it's so scary. They've gotten it to the point where they can get you to do things that will are more likely to cause problems than to catch any evidence of cancer.
yeah. I mean, it's just, and we're back to that fear again, because fear is the biggest controller. And when these souls have been diagnosed, I have witnessed that they're more than likely, if they've got a massive fear about the word cancer, to have then a secondary cancer because of the diagnosis. Now, there are some people that have been found to have quite a lot of different cancers, but so the way that I view this through a metaconsciousness is that the fact that in an emotional conflict, our body is simply endeavoring to adapt and survive. And that's going against every single grain of what the media are saying, what radio are saying, what medical, Western medical, not all, but the vast amount of Western medical, that medical model. So I love doctors and love nurses because we need them. But the medical model is funneling more fear and it's creating more fear and creating imprisonment rather than the freedom of reclaiming our own body and understanding what the heck is going on, because it can be fearful. And this is where we need that safety.
But we do. And our bodies are so powerful. We we don't give our bodies the credit that they deserve. There it's like, we don't go and look for, well, I guess we're starting to, but in the wild,
Yeah,
if you had a whole herd of buffalo on the plains, the Indians didn't go out and take their blood pressure and give them chemicals and make sure that they were eating right. And maybe the diet that they were eating naturally wasn't the best diet they could have. And maybe they could, like, give them something else. Never mind that that's something else. They weren't really designed to have that way. Or the implications of doing these procedures long term to these animals that they were going to eat would have on them. I was just like, and to me, cancer is, and I think there's been some evidence that has shown this to be more accurate than maybe the model, some of the other models that are out there, that cancer is actually a mechanism of defense for your body. You're
yeah,
encapsulating poisons or toxins or emotions in some cases that your body just doesn't know how to deal with. Fat is another thing that does that in our bodies. When you lose weight, you can have emotional um repercussions from that, and you can have physical um e- experiences as the toxins are released from your body or released from the fat cells,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just so like our bodies are so amazing, and so few of us have any clue how they actually function.
I know. And it's quite interesting that you're talking about in the animals in the wild, because there is a myth that animals in the wild don't have cancer, and it's only a human thing. That's not true. I,
Everything does.
yeah, I remember I was about to say call him a friend, and I thought I better stop there because he's not really a friend, but in my head he is, because I talk to him a lot. Is He's a zoologist, and he was telling me that lions in the Serengeti have been found to actually have had cancer. And the reason why is that if they eat a bone and the bone doesn't digest in their stomach, the cancer will grow to actually digest that bone that's stuck. But when the cancer has done its job, then the little microbacteria like TB comes along and starts eating away the tumor because it's no longer needed. And I know that in certain countries they're experimenting with injecting these small macrobacteria like measles and TB back into the cancer cells. You don't have to do that if you have the right diet to support and remove the emotional conflict.
Mhm.
So, if a human being has cancer in their stomach, what can you not digest? Because we're all about metaphors. And the difference between human mammals and mammals in the wild is that you said, give things meaning. We're storytellers. We love a good story, don't we, human beings? And we attach ourselves to that. And once the lion's tumor has gone, it might vomit some yucky stuff or poop it out, and you'll see blood, and they have no idea what that is because they don't give it meaning and they go on. And as long as they have the vitality and they're pack animals, I was about to say herd animals and thought, no, they're not herds, Penny. They're big pussy cats. Um, they have that community. So going back to that community, because isn't it interesting about age again? Sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, Jill. So please
You're good.
stop me. Is the blue zone. I'm fascinated by these parts of the world that are very hot. I've noticed this. They're all very hot and above our, my geography is not good, so I won't go into where they're above and below the equator. But they all live over 100, and they all live with compassion, community, and they all keep active.
Yes.
Back to the safety.
And community and staying active. I think, we see these old movies where people would go to bed and then they would die. In Western society, people retire to their lounge chair in front of the television set to die. And if that's you, your time is limited. Get up, move around, walk around the block, meet somebody, have a conversation, a random conversation with a stranger. It will do your body good. Uh, The
And
more that we isolate, the more we're dying inside.
having these conversations or going to the park to play chess or going to learn a new dance or I think America is great for this. You're very active. In my imagination, this is how Americans live. That you all go out and you all have these. But in the UK, we're a little bit more. You're starting tango, Penny, at your age. Yep. I'm I'm only
I
60.
thought
For
that's
goodness
when you
sake.
were supposed to start tango.
You're trying to be sexy at 60? Oh, I am sexy. No, but
I
uh,
think I'm more sexy at 60 than I was at 20.
yeah.
Just I'll put it out there. I own my sexuality way more. I used to be worried about what I look like all the time. Now I don't care. This is just who I am. This is
Isn't
how
it?
I'm shaped.
Um, At 20, I wouldn't leave the house without makeup to go to the supermarket. Now people go, "Oh, are you wearing that?" Yep, yeah, it's my Alibaba trousers, and I feel really. Nobody ever says anything to me, or if they do look oddly, I don't really care. And I think that is about reclaiming who we are.
Mhm.
I think 60 is the new 40 or 30 because I'm far more confident now. And also because I had a lot of limiting beliefs. I don't know about you, Jill, as a coach, these limiting beliefs. Oh, what these limiting the beliefs for a woman, well, and to reclaim that, yeah, we have the rights too.
I love some of the role models that we have these days. Older women. Kathy Bates comes to mind, where she in Mag Magnolias, something
Oh
Magnolias,
yeah,
where she's
yeah,
like, I'm older and I have better insurance.
yeah. Was that the fried green tomatoes?
Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, do you know I watched that movie and I was on a training and I was telling everybody about her character and one woman said, "But didn't they kill somebody and eat them?" And I went, completely missed that. Just-
That was the whole point of the movie. But it just is
yeah, and
like,
they just looked at
it,
me and I went, well, I was just thinking how strong these women were coming together. And they went, yeah,
yes,
honey, they killed somebody. And I went, oh, okay, I might have to watch that movie again.
like not to the end when you really found out about it, and you could totally miss it because the characters were just like, yeah, yeah, we need people like you. We need the world to realize that just because you're an older woman doesn't mean you are not of great value, and
Yes.
it, we're not to be underestimated.
And we can all choose, which going back to the choice of health, to be the
Mhm.
protagonist of our own story.
Yes, we can.
And to reclaim that role, I think, is just an expansion of our brain. And I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent because today I found this article that they found. I think it's an article from Germany. I could be wrong. But they found that actually in the somatic cortex, where they've said the aging, the cortex thins and it thins. Well, no, part of the somatic cortex actually thickens. And so it goes back to if you don't use it, you lose it. Um, so if that is possible in one part of the brain, what's the possibilities of us keeping on growing the brain rather than letting it thin and diminish, which is all part of our health? Because the cortex is all about our movement and our communication and community again, and connection and separation and being discerning about who we want to be with as well.
Mhm. I think that's really important too, because the people, I wouldn't even say people, the beings that you surround yourself with, which can be animals, it can be plants. Plants give off energy. Things that give off energy affect us and they affect our health. And the way we think about things, and I went on a hike over the weekend. It was a 4 mile hike. It was not going to be any big deal. I walk 3 miles every day, but this was this was kind of like straight up.
Oh, so really, you're rock climbing by the sound of it.
Yeah, it was moderate for mountain goats. For older women, it was fairly difficult. We're walking 100 feet. I'm sitting panting for 20 minutes. We're walking 100 feet. It took me 3 days to recover. I still struggle going down the stairs. I'm looking at my husband. When did this happen?
Yeah, yeah, and it is is about building up that resilience. Dan Siegel talks about it in emotional level as a window of tolerance, but it's also we have that physically. I Because I've been very sedentary, actually since lockdown, I've been very sedentary. I've actually joined a gym, which I said I'd never do, but never say never. And I'm doing resistant weights. And I went in, my ego was a little bit bigger than my muscles because I went, yeah, I used to do this all the time. And then I went, this is, right, okay. But we have that muscle memory and it will, so I'm being a little bit slower and I'm on my little trampoline again before going back to the gym. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you get older, you have to make some adjustments. Things from year to year don't maybe work exactly the same as they did last year, but it doesn't mean you have to quit altogether. You just have to maybe slow down,
yeah,
work up to it, but it doesn't mean it can never happen again for you. And some things, maybe you decide that you're not doing it anymore. I went skiing again for the last time when I was in my mid to late 50s. And I skied a lot in my life, but it was like, no, this is just dangerous at this point in my life. I'm not in the kind of shape that I need to be in to be safe and do this. And as you get older, you do need to think about, can I do this safely? Or how can I do this safely?
yeah.
And start slow, but don't stop. Just,
Yeah. And because I hear people as well saying, well, my hips aren't the same. Well, or I've got arthritis. And there are choices. We can heal these. Arthritis doesn't come along, it's not married to age. Inflammation is not married to age. It's our body attempting to heal itself, but it's just got stuck because we are being re-triggered. And so we're kept in that hamster wheel of life. And I've had lots of women, and my practitioners have worked with women and they have healed themselves. We're not healers, we don't call ourselves healers, but taking and reclaiming our own bodies and inviting women to have sex again at 70 and 80. That is, that's where I'm aiming for. You didn't expect me to bring in
sex is
sex at this
so
age.
much better when you're older. I just like when I was young, sex was one of those things where, God, I hope I don't get pregnant. God, I hope I don't get pregnant. That's what went through my mind when I had sex.
Yeah.
And and now it's like there's no chance that's happening.
Yes. We can totally relax and be in the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
And we know our bodies better. Well, hopefully we do. And we've explored our own bodies and found the bits that we like and the bits we don't. We can have a communication with our partners.
Uh-huh.
And that is just, again, bringing back health. And it, I love this because I chatted about this the other day to a client when she said, "Oh my God, I can have multiple orgasms now." And I said, these are healing peaks. In some modalities, they call them healing crises. I don't like the crisis because it just brings more fear. But that healing peak where our body's letting go. Poof, poof. And she went, "Oh my God, it was like bonfire night, fireworks." And I went, "Isn't that just amazing?" And she went, "Yeah." And she said, "I've been married for 25 years." And my husband went, "What on earth just happened there?" Because she's
Yeah.
been releasing all these emotional conflicts. She's now at home with her body, and she was relaxed in that moment after 25 years, Jill, not having
I'm
that. And she's making up for it now.
yeah. It's I'm telling you, if you're out there and you're a young woman, old age is it's something to be looked forward to. It's not something to be feared. And your body is going to be whatever it's going to be. There are things you can do to really support it. And I know that Penny helps in this area in terms of helping you come to terms with where you are in your life and how to work with your body in order to heal it rather than what things you can take to mask whatever things you're feeling. So
Yeah.
tell us about how that coaching looks, Penny.
So basically, we start with whatever symptom that you have, whether it's mental, and I don't like the word mental. I'd be prefer to call it behavioral. Because in my perspective, everything is a behavior and our bodies are endeavoring to adapt. Likewise, physically, what are the symptoms? And so we dive deep into the symptoms and understand your language, your metaphors of your body. So that symptom, what is it doing biologically? What is your metaphor that you're using for that part of the body? Because your body's no longer just whispering, going, you've got a bit of a headache or a hangover. It's when you have a chronic disease, it's screaming at you. And when we disentangle these, a bit like the fairy lights in the attic, we put them away one Christmas and we think, yep, we've all tidied them up, and we bring them down the next Christmas and they're all in a muddle. And that's what we are like in our unconscious. We get muddled with that. But the unconscious is just going, please listen to me. Please, I'm trying to tell you something. Stop taking the aspirin or the, because you're just pushing us back into stress and trying to mask these symptoms. And I'm not, as I've made it very clear, I'm not anti medication, but when we continue to mask and mask and mask, it's not serving us and it's going to bite us in the bottom. I wasn't very sure what word to use there.
Ass. It's going to bite you in the ass. Just don't do it.
Yeah. So we disentangle that. And once we find the root cause of what has actually started that process, because it could be a protest that the body's saying, no, enough, enough, listen to me. And then the body will go from sympathetic into parasympathetic with a healing peak, will come out of that living in the fight flight, which is natural, by the way. Our sympathetic, our polyvagal nervous system is doing exactly what it should. It's not doing anything wrong. We are creatures that we need to look around for danger, but not live in it in the microwave society that we've all created, because we've been the most domesticated animals, more domesticated than my little Persian cat. I mean, she has freedom now, and she had a near-death experience that dissolved in 2 hours. But human beings, we're caught in that prefrontal cortex of stories. And the more intellectual we are, the more we live up there. And I always joke with my intellectual clients about, well, if we get you from here into our bodies, then that's the first step. But it's not safe for a lot of us to feel our bodies. So
We've
back
been
to this.
told for so many years not to.
Yeah. And what does our body mean for us? Because we have to, we think we have. I love Stephen Porges' um, take on the we think, therefore I am, or I am because we think. You know, who are we in this? So, and have we, who are we born to be? So basically disentangling with modalities that are suitable for each person. I'm not a great lover of saying one modality for you. No, it's up to the client, and we will. It is like doing the cha-cha-cha or the tango, actually, in the healing process. And it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. We can have a bit of laughter, and the client will understand themselves, that soul, with their solution plan. So that's as simple as that.
It sounds like you give people options that they might not have even known existed. And it's not like one size fits all. Do you do it in groups or do you do it one-on-one or do you do a combination?
I do a combination for the terminal illness. I normally work one-to-one, but I hold lots of trainings. I'm hosting a menopausal training because there's so many people, women that are trapped in the menopause world. And what that in itself is a whole other thing because none of the medication is really trialed on women, it's trialed on
They're
men.
not, you're not broken. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just a different phase in your life. Your body functions differently. You're not the same as you were when you were 25 or 35 or even 45 for some women.
You
You
don't need to
are
procreate.
you don't need to procreate and your body doesn't need all those hormones running around the way they were running around before. And yes, you're going to be a little heavier. You're not going to look like the little twig you looked like when you were young. Get over it. You need some weight on your body. As older women, you don't need to be gigantic, but if you look around through history, as women got older, and women didn't used to live as long as we live now. They needed
Right
more
point.
weight on their body because it protects your bones when you fall. You've given up. If you've had children, you've given up minerals. You've given up bone density from having children. Your teeth have given up calcium. Your vision has changed. All of these things are part and parcel from giving birth to animals, and giving birth causes your body to shift.
Oh.
It's just how the species evolved. There's
And
nothing wrong with you.
that's what we're constantly doing. As a species, we're constantly adapting and evolving. And to be that, rather than were we actually born to get up, have go to school, go to university, have 3.2 children, five cars on the with the picket fence, and no, not everybody was born to. I chose not to have children, and that's my choice. Other people have chosen to have four or five children. Great. But let's be that person.
Yeah,
And
your body still is going to adapt in ways that, as a species, being a female, you still move along that path.
yeah,
It's not like you're going to continue to look like you did when you were 25.
yeah,
It's just that it's like when you're 25, do you want to look like you did when you were 5?
yeah. And get out into the sun, even for
Yeah.
15 minutes a day. That will stimulate your pineal gland and it will stimulate the vitamin D, which is actually a hormone. It's not really a vitamin. And
Mhm.
that will help your whole health. So, I mean, I could chat about this, um, just women and health. And also, I work with a lot of men who also have issues. And again, that weakness and the lack of safety of crying as a man, of being weak. And um, again, it's simply behavioral of these emotions. And we all have emotions. My cat has emotions. And she tells me off when she gets pissy at me. And she
Those
will,
two.
yeah, she will hit, she will go, yeah. That's an emotion. And I allow her to do that. And then I go and find out what I don't speak cat language yet, even after 15 years. But we are mammals. And even tortoises have emotions. And their little nerve endings are in their shells. We need connection. So even if you're not having the sex, go and have a massage. Go and have that touch because we need that stimulation. We need that self-soothing, that connection. Gosh, Jill, I could speak to you for hours.
Yes, this has been an amazing conversation, Penny. I've really enjoyed having you. Um, you do have courses that you offer people?
Yes, I do. I've got numerous courses. I run EFT tapping courses, matrix reimprinting, which is an evolution of tapping but more elegant. About it's like parts. I also run the menopause course, and I run a master's program in metaconsciousness to explore so people can find the choice of how to heal themselves. And you can either become a practitioner at the end of it, but there's a lot of case studies, so you don't have to do them, or you can come for your own journey. A lot of the practitioners that have done the 12-week course, which is really a little bit longer because I do add-ons to support. It's not like the NLP courses that you do the NLP and then they spit you out and you're on your own flat. Oh, that
Good
was
luck
just
with that.
yeah. So there's a large community. We have master classes and support, but a lot of the practitioners that have come on have gone, yeah, I've done the NLP, I've done this, I've done that. And I go, yeah, yeah. And then they go, oh my God, I didn't realize this because it's really digging deep into who we are and from our behavioral ways, our personalities, how are the symptoms are all an expression of the body. So that's why my Substack is called Beyond Symptoms. So it's not just looking at the symptom, it is inviting everyone to become who they were born to be.
Oh, that. And people can find your courses over on imca.info, as well as subscribe to your Substack and get weekly, at least, information and articles and Penny's thoughts on
Yeah,
what's happening in the world at beyondsymptoms.substack.com, correct?
that's right. And I yeah, I'm a fairly technophobe. So ask me about the brain and the body. I can speak for hours. As soon as you said Substack, I went,
We're going to help you with that because that's
so
where I shine.
yeah. So just think of IMCA as IMCA. Did you? So healing doesn't have to be, oh gosh, trauma. We can have a bit of laughter as well, and laughter is great. The more that we laugh, we can actually lose a little bit of weight on that exhale as well. Um, every time we exhale longer and laugh longer, it's pushing us into that parasympathetic, so into that rest and digest. What's more wonderful than laughter? And having chats with Joe.
Ah, thank you. And really, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, darling.
To learn more about Penny, be sure to visit Penny's website, imca.info, and think about joining her Substack at beyondsymptoms.substack.com to find the free courses she offers and to learn about more about all of the incredible things that she's doing in the world. And we'll be sure to put those links in the show notes below. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you have a podcast or you're interested in starting one to get your message in front of our huge and active audience, be sure to reach out to us at support@heartlifecoach.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice and monetize their mission and offer a variety of ways to do this on Substack. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.